Good morning. The court is going to take up the next case on the court's docket, CV1802043A. This is in the interest of Jossiah Gonzalez, a child. The case is set for a permanency hearing after final orders. The hearing is being conducted pursuant to emergency orders of the Texas Supreme Court via Zoom video conference. Participating in the hearing today on behalf of the department is Supervisor Amanda Outlaw and Brown County Attorney Shane Britton. The mother of the child is Angeline Fletcher, and she is participating in the hearing today.
Yes, sir.
With the attorney Donnie Lappin representing her. The responding unknown father cited in the department's pleadings. Emily Miller is the attorney ad litem for the child, and Ms. Miller is participating in the hearing today. Debbie Salisbury and Michelle Wells are present as the CASA guardian ad litems, as well as, I believe, Jimmy Richardson. And I also show on my screen Lana Switzer. Ms. Switzer, could you advise the court your connection to the case, please?
Yes, I'm Josiah's case manager at New Horizons.
Okay, thank you. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jossiah is also participating in our hearing today with us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, if we're ready to proceed, I'm going to ask Ms. Outlaw, Ms. Switzer, Jossiah, Mr. Richardson, Ms. Wells, and Ms. Salisbury, if each of you could all raise your right hands, please. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And, I apologize. I believe I neglected to mention Ms. Fletcher as well. Ms. Fletcher, would you also raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for that. All right. If we're ready to proceed, Mr. Britton.
I'll call Miss Outlaw, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Outlaw, you are the supervisor. I don't know exactly your title. Something like that, right?
Yes.
Stephanie Kirby is the permanency worker in this case, but she is tied up doing something else, my understanding.
Yes.
Now, Jossiah is he at the ranch in in Gulf Lake?
Yes, he is.
And how's he doing?
He's been doing okay. He did have some behavioral incidents. There was a physical altercation. He's been a little resistant to fully participating and engaging in therapy. But he has been doing okay. I think that incident was a few weeks ago. We haven't had any major incident reports since then, so that's
Good.
a positive. Yeah.
Is he having any visits with his mother?
He was having visitation over the weekends at her home. However, after the last physical altercation that he had, she discontinued the visits at her home so that he would have the opportunity to focus more on his behaviors, work more in therapy. So she is continuing contact. He's just not going to the home at this time.
Okay. The physical altercation that you're referencing, did that happen during a weekend visit or was that there at the ranch?
It was at the ranch.
And I'm assuming that he's in some type of therapy or counseling, pretty intensive.
He is, but he has not been fully engaging.
He is not fully engaging, is that what you said?
Yes.
How's mom doing?
She's doing well. She's maintained her home and her employment. She's been compliant with random drug testing. So we haven't had any concerns as far as mom, and she previously completed all of her other services. She had continued individual therapy after the passing of her husband. However, she has recently been successfully discharged from therapy.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Lappy, did you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Miller, do you have any questions for Ms. Outlaw?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Outlaw, can you tell us what the status of Josiah's siblings are at this point? Who's home and who's not home at this point?
All of Josiah's siblings are home. His sisters had previously been returned home
Years
over
ago.
a year ago. I mean, it's been quite a while, and that portion of the case was dismissed. His older brother, Adrian, was returned home about a month ago, but he has since turned 18, and so he is no longer in care.
Okay, so we've got the last person in this case is Josiah, and of course he's at the ranch.
Yes.
Can you tell me what is the connection between the physical altercation at the ranch and the weekend visitation? Why do those two things have to do with each other?
Because Mom expressed that she feels like allowing Josiah to come to the home when he continues to make poor choices is rewarding those behaviors, and she does not want to reward those behaviors. And so she has expressed that when he makes behavioral changes and he begins to work on his therapy, she would be more than happy to have him in the home, but she's not going to have him in the home with those behaviors and jeopardizing his little sisters because of the choices that he's making.
Okay, and them potentially being in danger because of the physical fighting at the ranch, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and what are the choices that we need Josiah to particularly work on? You mentioned engaging in therapy and of course the physical fight. What else specifically do we need Josiah to do in order to return home to his mom?
I think just demonstrating that he's going to be making safe choices. I know we've stopped at Miss Fletcher's request, we've stopped home visits previously because there was an incident where he ran away in the middle of the night to go and hang out with his friends. When they had addressed it in therapy, he flat out told Miss Fletcher that if he were home and had the opportunity, he would do it again. He was not remorseful. So for him to understand that his actions present safety concerns for him and for his siblings, and to demonstrate that he's going to be making better choices.
Okay, and are he and Miss Fletcher still having therapy together?
They hadn't been having family therapy. I don't know if that's resumed. I know that the therapist had discontinued that for a while because they didn't feel like that it was being productive because Josiah was not willing to fully engage and cooperate with therapy.
Okay, and so he would need to fully engage in his individual therapy before the family therapy could be resumed, right?
Correct.
Okay, and originally it was really our wish to have Josiah home by this time and starting school back in his home district, but that just hadn't worked out, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Yeah, Mr. Britton, did you have any additional questions?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Lappy?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Mr. Britton, do you have other witness you want to call?
No, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. Lappy. Did you have any witness you want to call?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Miller?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm going to call Ms. Switzer, please.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Switzer, I believe I previously swore you in and you remain under oath. If you could unmute your device, thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Switzer, we've had a lot of group meetings and conferences where we've talked about Josiah. Is there anything else that you'd like to add or elaborate on regarding what Ms. Outlaw testified to in terms of what we need Josiah to work on?
No, I think I think she summed it up. And Josiah, he's a tricky kid. He's so likable and he's such a sweet kid. He has such a sweet heart. He is also, I would like to say he is doing significantly better right now following that physical altercation. And I would like to think that's been about 6 weeks or 2 months ago. It's been quite a while. He's done well. That's kind of the concern with Jossiah, though, is that he will do pretty well. You know, for a period, his behaviors are pretty cyclic. He'll do well for 2 to 3 months, and then there will be an incident like this come up. So I think, you know, the main concern is that Jossiah does well when he has a target out in front of him, to reach that target. Like right now, he's very motivated to get back to home visits. That's very important to him. But then something comes up and he just loses it again and has a huge outburst. So there's just concerns that his positive behaviors are related more to the goal in front of him, as opposed to him really making internal changes and making choices based on just the integrity of the decision. So that's kind of where we're at. But like I said, he's doing much better right now. You know, I think we're all hopeful that the pause in visits has helped him to kind of understand that there are consequences for his actions. But yeah, he's been doing much better for the last couple of months.
Great. Thank you. And what do you expect his prognosis to be at this point, Ms. Switzer?
What exactly do you mean regarding his prognosis? Like his discharge plan, or?
Well, in terms of resuming the home visits and his discharge plan.
Well, I will be honest with you, and I try to be as honest as I can with Jossiah. I think that's been incredibly confusing from day one. I think it's confusing to Jossiah a little bit. We've talked about different discharge plans because we've had the goal of reunification with mom in place for quite some time, but it just kind of always seems to slip away from us. And so we've talked about a foster home instead, and him having the option to go do that first and kind of prove himself, for lack of a better term, that he will be able to make good choices with when he has more freedoms outside of the RTC setting, to, you know, to kind of help persuade mom some more reinforcement that he'll do well there. I mean, I think he's on track to resume home visits. I don't think any of us are necessarily opposed to that. But I do think we need to place a lot of that responsibility on Jossiah.
All right. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Britton, did you have any questions for Ms. Switzer
No, Your Honor.
and Mr. Lappin?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Miller, did you have other witnesses on call?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wells and Ms. Salisbury, Mr. Richardson, anything y'all want to add to your report at this point?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to see, and Ms. Salisbury and I have been discussing this, a way to manage to get these therapists together so we can get this family therapy going. And that really needs to happen. And I think that would be good for him, and that he needs to participate in that he needs to be the person that he wants us having be. But he needs to participate in that, and they both do. It needs to happen. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Outlaw, on that issue, now I understand that Ms. Fletcher's counselor has discharged her at this point.
Yes, Your Honor. And previously, Josiah's therapist was providing that family therapy. And so that's a discussion that I can have with Ms. Switzer and with the other staff at the ranch about trying to reinstate that.
Well, I think it would be important to try to put that back in place. Now, whether Josiah and Ms. Fletcher make progress, I guess, will kind of depend on their input on it. But I think it's important to have that mechanism in place so they can at least explore whether they can make the progress they need to get him back in the home. Since I think that's what both of them ultimately desire to have happen. So I ask y'all to try to see if we can get that facilitated for them. The other question I had, and it may be the report's just dated, but it doesn't appear that Josiah's had a psychological evaluation from the report since 2018. Is that accurate, or is that just a misprint?
I can get with the ranch. Normally they do them about every year. So it may just be that we haven't received that record, but we can definitely follow up on that.
Well, I just got to follow up on that just to see if there's been one done. I believe the department policy requires them to have one every year.
Yes,
And if something's not done, it needs to be done. Thank you. Jossiah, anything you'd like to let the court know about your situation at this point or what you want to have happen?
Your Honor, I've actually been doing very better since the incident, and I haven't been having family therapy, but me and my mom have been talking on the phone when I call her and stuff. Not like necessarily in front of Amber and stuff, but me and her have been having conversations. And I've been talking in therapy, and I'm a little confused on like when y'all say that I wasn't engaging in therapy, like what do y'all mean by like not engaging in therapy?
Well, I think you can talk to your therapist a little bit more about what that means. But, you know, going to therapy isn't just sitting and telling them kind of how your day's going. It involves discussing some of the issues that may prompt you to engage in certain activities that maybe aren't productive. There might be things in your past that cause that. Those are the kinds of things they're talking about. Your therapist can elaborate much better than I can on it, but just from what I read in the reports, I think that's one thing they're asking you to do. And we all want, I think, the same thing. I think your mom does, and you do. They want you to be back in the home with your family and your siblings. But you're getting old enough that you need to be aware that you have a responsibility for your actions. And if you make poor choices, you can't control everything that happens around you. So sometimes things are inflicted on you. And I'm not going to get into this altercation of why it happened or didn't happen or whose fault it was. My point is, you have to be responsible for your actions. If I do something wrong, there's somebody above me that's going to make sure I'm responsible for it. That's true in life, no matter what position you're in or where you're at. If you want to be back with your family, you need to make sure you consistently make good choices. That's what we're looking for. That's what your mom wants. That's what I hope you want. And the sooner you can do that and demonstrate you can do that, I think the quicker that we can get you back in there, because I think that's still our goal. That's still where we want to head. But as odd as it may sound, you probably can help us get there quicker than anybody by what you do or don't do.
Yes, Your Honor.
I would appreciate it if you would work on that. Okay.
So when I leave from New Horizons, do I go to foster home, right? Or do I get reunification with my family?
Well, I think they're going to evaluate whether that's a possibility or whether you can work back in your mom's home. They're just exploring that as one way of trying to make progress with you. And so if you go to a foster home before you go back to your mom's home, you need to understand, I think part of the reason why they are doing that is for you to demonstrate that in that situation, you can make good choices. That will help reassure your mom that if you're back with her, you make good choices when you're there with her too.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I don't know that they've made a decision about that, but that's something they're looking at too, is another option. Again, the goal is to try to work you back in your mom's home ultimately as quickly as they can. But that may be one option they explore. In any event, wherever you are, at New Horizons, foster home, or with your mom, you need to make good choices. If you don't, you're going to be held responsible for those, and the consequences of those probably won't be to your liking. And so you have influences in your life. Friends can be good influences. They can be bad influences. Other people in your life can be good or bad influences.
Yes,
But
sir.
the only person that can ultimately decide what you do is you.
Yes, sir.
So you need to make good decisions. All right.
And I had recently, I had a psychological, I think it was last week.
Okay, good. Well, I just wanted to check on that. I thought the record was probably just dated, but I just want to make sure that there wasn't something out there that needed to be done.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, you take care of yourself. All right, the court is going to continue the current orders in place and encourage the department to continue to work with Jossiah and his mother to see if y'all can work them back in the home, whether that's directly or through potential interim foster care placement. But I do think the family counseling needs to resume and try to get that moving as well as Mr. Richardson could. All right, the next hearing right now is set for February 3rd, 2022 at 9